Hi friends, Ron here. Today we're going to be making Oregon grape jelly, and we're going to try to do it with as little sugar as possible, but still get it to set as a jelly. My wife and I went out today, and along with our son, and we picked a whole bunch of Oregon grapes, and I currently have them soaking in the water. We're going to strain them, and then we're going to separate them, and then we'll start the whole process.
Now, Oregon grapes aren't actually grapes at all, but they are a plant that's native to North America in the West, and they grow from southern Alaska to northern California. They get their names from the purple clusters of berries because of the color and their appearance. They kind of look like grapes.
Alright, so we've gone through and we've pulled out most of the foreign matter that was inside of there. We came up with 4 cups of the berries, and we're going to put them in a large pan. I think this is about a 5 quart, and I'm going to add about a half a cup of water. We're going to use that to steam them. I'm going to put it on medium-high. We'll let this boil for a while. I'm going to cover it up.
The plants were used by native cultures both as a food source and also for their medicinal properties. Now, we know the berries are very nutritious and they have a lot of vitamin C, but they're also extremely tart. Native Americans would mix the Oregon grape with other sweeter foods to try to make them a little bit more palatable. Here we're going to try to do the same thing by adding some sugar. Now, I don't want to add a bunch of sugar, I just want to add enough sugar to make it palatable.
It's been about 10 minutes, and everything is nice and gooey, and I can actually start seeing in the bottom of the pan that things are starting to get a little bit sticky here. So I'm going to turn the heat down, and I'm going to pull out a potato masher, and I'm going to try to extract as much juice out of these as possible by crushing and breaking whatever membranes might still be there.
Kind of trying to take a look at this and see that everything is really broken down. Wow, it's still very bitter.
Do you see how thick it is?
Look in the bottom of the pan.
You can see that it's actually getting pretty sticky.
Good thing we got the heat turned off.
We now need to be able to separate all the skins and all the seeds out from the juice that we have. And I'm going to use a Foley mill to do that. Pour some in. And we'll run the crank. I can see stuff's coming out on the bottom, so we're in the ballpark here. You want to run it back a little ways every once in a while, and that kind of clears off the screen. You can see that we are getting jelly in the bottom, so that's awesome. So we're at that point where there's really not a whole bunch coming back off the bottom as we are running it. When I look inside, I see that most of everything in the Foley mill that's left are seeds. Let me take a look at that. You see, it's just seeds. I think we're at that point where there's really not much more to come through that is going to be useful. Here's the interesting thing. There's not much in the way of stuff to work with after that. So I think I'm going to move it into a smaller pan, and then we'll get to the point of adding a little bit of sugar to it and seeing if it will gel for us. We have it in the smaller pan now, and I'm starting to heat it up again. It's already very thick, as you can see. Very, very, very thick. Oregon grapes tend to be very bitter, and this is still extremely bitter. There's about 2 cups when we were all done, maybe a cup and a half. I didn't actually measure it, but it's about a cup and a half, 2 cups. I have 1 cup of sugar here, and I'm going to try adding half of it and seeing where we're at as far as flavor, because right now this is not something somebody would want to eat at all. It's very bitter. And I'm not trying to make a sugary sweet candy type jam. What I am trying to do is make something that's at least palatable while retaining a lot of the nutritional benefits that you get from Oregon grapes. Let's mix this around, and I have a thermometer here. And we're currently at 203 degrees, 205 degrees. So I'm really looking for a temperature of about 220, and then I'll know that I have most of the water reduced out and we have a good concentration of sugar. I'm also trying to make sure that it doesn't get stuck on the bottom while we're working this whole thing. You can hear it's definitely making noise, like we could get close to scorching if we're not careful. I'm also going to add just a touch of lemon juice with the just under half a cup of sugar that I added to the mixture. It's now palatable. It's still pretty sour, but we'll make sure that we have enough acid in it here by adding just a little bit of lemon juice. I also find that lemon juice makes it taste just a little fruitier, which I kind of like. We've made it to 220 degrees and we're ready to start putting everything inside of the jars. Now originally I thought we might have a couple jars here. It looks like we'll be lucky to have one. And in the end, that jar will probably end up going in the refrigerator and we won't even have to have done a water bath at all. So let's start out by pulling this off, which is really hot. And feed my tongs out. I like to try to keep these, they're hot though, pretty clean. So I throw them in when I'm heating everything else up and sterilizing the jars. So hot. Woo. Oh. So you can see what it looks like. It definitely will turn your fingers purple, but it's actually really good. Kind of bitter, but tangy. So I think it's actually going to be pretty good. Let's go ahead and put a lid on this and get it all done. In the end, that's how much we had, which isn't too bad really if you think about it. I'll let it cool off, and then probably tomorrow we'll take a look at it and actually see how it actually turned out and see how jelly-like it is. It's an interesting experiment, and it's good to see how it's going to turn out. All right, let's fast forward to the next day, and as you can see, we have something that looks an awful lot like Oregon grape jelly. This is at room temperature, and you can see that it's still very, very thick. We didn't add any additional pectin to this recipe, so the gelling must be from the natural pectin that's in the berries. So aside from a little bit of sugar and some lemon juice, it's about as natural as we could have made it. The jelly is a very deep, rich purple. It has no seeds, and it spreads very, very well on the toast. And all that's well and good, but it's really more about what it tastes like. So we'll give it the taste test. You know, it's bitter, very tangy, and very fruity at the same time. I wish you could try it. Let's wrap the video up. As you can see, the Oregon grape is a prolific natural resource here in the Pacific Northwest, and with very little time and effort, we were able to convert that free, prolific natural resource into a product that is actually very healthy for us and tastes really good. What we didn't do in this video was we didn't produce a product that is shelf stable. Maybe in the future I'll do a video where I'll actually go through the water bath process and ensure that the end product is in fact shelf stable. If I do that, I'll put a link to the video right up here on this video. In any case, I really hope that you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.